Let's be real, you've probably fantasized about instantly mastering any skill, like snapping your fingers and suddenly knowing it all. Maybe you wanted to pull off a backflip to impress your 6th grade crush, or perhaps you dreamed of shredding on the guitar, running faster, jumping higher, or nailing that viral dance move from 2016, anything to stand out and be the cool kid. But as we grow older, our learning priorities change. Now, we're more interested in things that benefit us long-term, like business, languages, tech, or sports. The problem, most of us are pretty bad at learning efficiently. And it's not entirely our fault school conditioned us to memorize facts for tests, only to forget them as soon as the bell rang. But memorization isn't the same as learning. Real learning means truly understanding, applying, and internalizing information until it feels second nature. Think about the last time you tried picking up a new skill, whether it was a language, an instrument, or coding. Chances are you overloaded on reading, tutorials, and videos, only to find that nothing really stuck. Why? Because most of us focus too much on input reading, watching, and listening when we should be prioritizing output doing, practicing, and teaching. It's like trying to learn how to swim by just reading a book about swimming. You might understand the theory, but the moment you hit the water, you'll sink. Learning is a contact sport. You have to dive in and get hands-on. Now, not everything is equally important. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, suggests that 80% of results come from just 20% of your efforts. Applied to learning, this means focusing on the fundamentals that yield the greatest benefits. Want to learn a language? Forget memorizing 10,000 random words. Start with the 1,000 most commonly used ones, which already cover 80% of everyday conversations. Want to play guitar? Master basic chords first before jumping into complex solos. Once you've built a strong foundation, everything else becomes easier. One of the best ways to speed up learning is active recall, a technique where instead of passively reviewing material, you actively test yourself. For example, if you're learning history, don't just reread the same paragraph about World War II over and over. Close the book and try to recall the key details from memory. Think of it like lifting weights for your brain. If you just look at dumbbells, you won't get stronger. You have to actually lift them. However, cramming might seem productive in the moment, but it's a short-term fix. Instead, use the spacing effect, which is about spreading out your learning over time. Studying for 30 to 60 minutes a day across a week is far more effective than one exhausting 6-hour session. Why? Because every time you revisit a topic, your brain has to dig it out of storage, strengthening neural connections. It's like creating a trail in the woods. At first, it's rough and unclear, but the more you walk it, the easier it becomes to navigate. Now, let's go back to that swimming analogy. Practice is everything, but not just any practice. Deliberate practice means focusing on the areas where you struggle most, instead of just repeating what you're already good at. For example, if you're learning to draw, don't just sketch the same anime character 69 times. Instead, challenge yourself to draw hands, faces, and different perspectives. The difficult stuff. It might be frustrating at first, but you'll improve significantly faster. Another underrated technique for learning faster, teaching it. It sounds strange. How can you teach something you don't fully understand yet? But that's exactly the point. Teaching forces you to organize your thoughts, explain concepts clearly, and identify gaps in your understanding. Plus, if someone asks a question, you'll be pushed to think critically and problem solve. You don't even need a real audience. Just record yourself explaining the topic as if you were making a YouTube video. Imagining that thousands of people might watch it will motivate you to understand the material better. Another powerful trick: engage multiple senses. Your brain retains information better when more senses are involved. For example, if you're learning Spanish, don't just read vocabulary words. Listen to native speakers, watch Spanish YouTube videos, and speak the words out loud. Combining visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learning strengthens your neural connections, just like using multiple materials makes a house sturdier. Learning doesn't have to be boring. In fact, the more fun you make it, the faster you'll improve. Set small goals and reward yourself when you hit them. Turn challenges into games, compete with a friend, or use apps that track progress and give badges. But be careful, these apps can also be distracting. It's easy to switch from a study app to TikTok or YouTube the moment you lose focus. To avoid this, put your phone on silent, close unnecessary tabs, and create a distraction-free environment. Multitasking is a myth. Your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. If you're half reading a book while scrolling Instagram, you're not truly absorbing anything. Give your full attention to the task at hand. Finally, let's talk about sleep. Rest is just as important as effort. Your brain consolidates information during sleep, strengthening connections and clearing out unnecessary details. If you pull all-nighters to cram, you're actually hurting your ability to remember things. Taking breaks during study sessions helps too. Just like muscles need recovery time after a workout, so does your brain. And above all, your mindset matters. If you believe you're bad at learning, you'll struggle. But if you develop a growth mindset, the belief that effort leads to improvement, you'll surprise yourself with what you can achieve. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," say, "I can't do this yet." That small shift changes everything. It moves your mindset from failure to potential. And most importantly, enjoy the process. Learning isn't just about acquiring new skills, it's about growing as a person. And honestly, that's the simplest part.